Welcome to the Daily Beast podcast. I'm Joanna Coles, and I'm still Chief Content Officer of the Daily Beast.
And I am Samantha Bee, Chief Content Officer and Manager of the President's Candy Bowl. We've got Hershey miniatures in there, Tootsie Rolls, gross, but also, most importantly, Laffy Taffy, which is not a presidential candy. It's not.
And don't forget Starbursts. Starburst,
Oh,
which,
Starbursts, yes.
can I just tell you a secret about Starburst in case you don't know this? If you are a
Yes.
weightlifter or you're doing one of those competitive sports where you have to manage your weight, if you go through a lot of Starburst, they produce a ton of saliva, and she would lose 2 pounds a day by putting a Starburst under her tongue and then spitting out the saliva. True story.
You know that I'm a professional bodybuilder, and those things are important to me.
I thought you might be, and I thought you would like that.
I like that.
So look, for people who haven't listened to our podcast before, we need to tell them that we focus on the stories and the people that we're obsessed by and that we write about in the Daily Beast. And today we have two fantastic guests. We've got our Beast of the Week, Michael Wolff, who is the author of All or Nothing, which is his fourth book on Trump. And it's out now, and we want to know what on earth made him go back to write a fourth book about Donald Trump.
I mean,
Except that he's an incredible writer, he's an incredible observer of people, and he writes the most brilliant studies of characters. He's not a typical political respondent. And I've watched him at work over the last 22 years, and it's astonishing to me how many people want to be chronicled by him and think that they will somehow be able to best his observational skills about them. I mean, when I was at New York Magazine with him, people call up desperate to be profiled by him. And the profile would frequently be incredibly negative, and they would still love it because he would have gotten at some essence that their therapist couldn't get at. And he explained them to themselves. And I think that's why probably the Trump camp or those around Trump talk so freely to Michael.
that is so interesting. What an interesting way to see it. I think you're totally right. People want to talk, they want to see themselves rendered in some way, and they can live with it, even if it's like just a little bit bruising.
Yeah, and I think people often understand their negative strains, right? And they want
Right.
someone to explain them. Anyway, I can't wait to talk
Oh
to him. And
boy.
obviously the book has already got a rise out of the president, who's denied much of what's in it, while still admitting that some of his advisors did speak to Michael about the book. And it contains revelations like Melania fucking hates him, from one observer. And of course, that Trump was terrified of dying on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. There's a wonderful story in the book where Trump's own plane is damaged. The windscreen has got a crack in it. They have to rent a plane. Unwittingly, they rent a private jet that used to belong to Jeffrey Epstein, which they only discover midway through a very turbulent flight where everybody's kind of bouncing around. And apparently in the book, Donald Trump is described as howling that he doesn't want to die on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, because even in that moment, he knows that that would be bad for him and his reputation, because he's always managing to his audience.
How could, I mean, a noted alleged germaphobe like Trump be on Epstein's plane ever? That is just one giant hotel bedspread. There are human body fluids everywhere. That is just a Port Authority toilet.
I think it's probably been through several owners since Jeffrey Epstein had it. But you do think if they shone one of those lights, those purple ultraviolet lights on
Oh,
there would just be like stuff everywhere.
just absolute nightmare.
On a more wholesome note, we'll also be talking to Leah Wire, who's the president of People, about the crazy shit people do to get ready for the Oscars, which is coming up on Sunday.
Exciting. Well, you were just at the SAG Awards.
I was at the SAG Awards. I had great fun. I actually made a style choice this year to wear sneakers on the red carpet as opposed to heels. And I will say my feet thanked me.
You know what? I thought that we had all agreed, like nationally or maybe even globally, that after COVID, nobody would wear heels again. And then they came back
They came
more
back.
hardcore than ever. I
They
was
came back.
talking to my husband the other day. He was like, what are those high heels? Like 6 inches? I'm like, 6 inches? You can't wear a 6-inch heel, you'll be pitched forward. You'll break your nose on the pavement. That's impossible, but people are doing it.
I know, it's crazy, but I just refuse to, and so I got a
No.
pair of silver, well, metallic sneakers, and I have to say, it's not quite the same as wearing heels, but it was
No.
just so comfortable. And, the SAG Awards, like all these awards shows, people don't understand how much preamble there is. And then
Yes.
there's always a party afterwards. All I can tell you is we left the hotel at 1. I got back at 10:30 in the evening, and the whole time it felt like I'd been working very hard. Great fun, but I'm so glad I was wearing sneakers.
Yeah, sneakers, they're key. I used to go with a cl if I had to do stuff like that, I would carry a huge clutch and I would put flip-flops in the clutch. And then at the end of the night
Oh,
when
that's
everybody
a
was yeah,
good
everybody would walk to their
style
cars,
trick.
you get all clogged up, everybody's walking to their cars, and
Yep.
I would just put on my flip-flops and everybody was mad at me and jealous. And that's my goal in life, to make everyone jealous, so it really worked out for me.
That
Great.
might be the most useful thing you have ever told me, because the
Yeah.
thing is, it's like, how do you find shoes that are small enough to go in a bag that you can
Yes,
carry around with you? Flip-flops, absolutely obvious, genius
flip-flops.
idea.
Flip-flops. Mhm.
And also, I did notice at the end when you come out, there's always a scrum for the cars, and
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
the women are kind of almost screaming because their
Screaming.
car isn't right there, and it's because everybody's in pain from the shoes.
Everybody's in pain from the shoes. I have to tell you, one year where I took my dad to the Emmys. I took my dad to the Emmys and a bunch of my friends, and it was that scrum at the end, and there's cars, like, there are hundreds of black cars
Hundreds,
lined
yeah,
up,
hundreds,
and they
yeah.
all look pretty much identical. It's either like a town car or it's a big Suburban or something like that, and my dad thought every single car was for him, and he really wanted to go home. He probably had to go to the bathroom or something, and he just walked through that scrum of cars going, "Are you here for Ron B? Are you here for Ron B?" He must have talked to 75 different car drivers, and I was like, "Your car is so and then he was just too far away. I couldn't get him back. He was
Oh.
unleashed. Unleashed.
That is my idea of hell. The scrum for the black car, it sounds so
So
precious
terrible.
and, the uber white privilege, but, there was, and I won't say who they were, but there was a couple in front of us. He's a famous actor with a younger woman who was hysterical that their car hadn't arrived before other people, and she was like, "Did you see 3 other couples walked in front of us and got their car?" And he didn't
Oh,
care because he was wearing flat shoes. He was wearing kind of loafers. What did he care? So he was trying to calm her down. She was on the edge. She was on the edge of madness over her car, and I understood where it was coming from,
yeah.
and I was like, "I got me sneakers. I don't care."
Yeah, that's the spot.
Anyway,
That's the spot where you see everybody at the end of the night. Everyone's drunk, everybody's tired, everyone's
yeah.
sore. They're so hungry. You're just gonna see everything you need to see, and then you're gonna see my dad weaving around in between all the cars, trying to flag one down for himself.
I love it. Romby here, Romby. Okay,
He
so
is here.
I had a what would Sam be moment. I'm staying at the Four Seasons in LA,
Okay,
which
okay.
is where a lot of celebs stay, especially
Sure.
pre-Oscars. I'm in the elevator going down
Mhm.
to the 4th floor to meet a friend for lunch, and who should get into the elevator
Who?
but Kanye. Kanye got into the elevator
Stop it.
and he was wearing a black hoodie, black pants, black tee, black socks, no shoes, and he threw up his hood, and then he kind of laughed, and then he switched his phone on and was watching some kind of video, and I only had 2 stops, 2 floors to try and think of something to say, and I it sort of failed me, and
What are you gonna
we
say?
both got out on the 4th floor, and I thought, "What would Sam B have said?"
What? I don't think I would have said what am I gonna say? What am I gonna how am I gonna open up an interlude with Kanye on an elevator? He's not wearing shoes. You know what?
I almost said, "I think you've forgotten your shoes,"
You've
and
forgotten
then
your
I thought,
shoes.
"Just stay quiet, just nothing good will come of this, just stay quiet."
Are you next door neighbors? Can you hear what's going on in his room?
No, because I think he's 2 floors below me.
Oh my god. I don't know that I would have said anything because that's just it's just a remarkable moment, and I don't think you're gonna get anything started. I'm amazed, though. I wanna congratulate you for your restraint in not saying, Would you like to come on the Daily Beast podcast?
I
Because
almost did. I almost did. I should have done. And then afterwards, I was cross with myself that I hadn't said you need to come on the podcast. I could present it with Sam B. Um, but I'm alert to the fact he's here now, so I'm gonna be looking. Gonna be
wow.
looking for him. I'm gonna be chasing him down.
Chasing him
Um,
down. Well, for the record, I don't wanna talk to him on the podcast. That is not
okay.
a good idea for us. No, thank you. No, thank you
Well, we
very
could ask him
kindly.
about his weird fashion statement, but I agree we don't want to give that any
We
publicity.
don't
But I do want to say how much I loved seeing Jane Fonda give her
mm,
speech.
mhm,
She looks amazing. There was so much joy in the room and sort of
right,
appreciation for her and her lifetime of extraordinary work. Endless
yes.
Oscars, endless Golden Globes, more nominations than anybody else, I think, in the room, and just fabulous to be in the same room as her.
That's great. Yeah, her speech was very rousing. Not arousing, but rousing. It was really
Yeah.
good. I really like Jane Fonda tremendously, and, I don't know really how much people in the outside world wanna hear from celebrities right now, but I sure appreciated I loved what she said. I thought it was great.
Well, and I think she was trying to be political without being too political. So
Yeah.
that thing she said about woke is just showing that you give a damn. She was, I think, sensitive to the fact that I'm sure they'd all been told, do not be political on this broadcast.
100%.
But she was trying to be human, and there
Yeah.
was a sort of energy in the room which showed they understood the tightrope she was walking.
Can you imagine actually pulling aside Jane Fonda before an awards presentation and saying, "Jane, love you so much. I really appreciate your life's work and, all the causes you're so passionate about. Can you just keep it out of the realm of politics?" She's like, "Oh, excuse pardon? Excuse me? Let me just step outside. Can you just"
Yeah. Well, whoever wrote her speech did a good job.
Well, she was great. She was great. I'm excited to talk to Michael Wolff. I don't really watch I know the Academy Awards are coming up, and I'm interested in I wanna talk about skincare and all that jazz, but for me, the real Academy Awards is just talking to Michael Wolff and hearing all the good gossip.
Well, his book is, as you
Yeah.
know, so readable, and we're very excited to have him on.
Yes. Whew.